Never compromise. You get high quality at low prices. You never compromise with
I won't hit it. I'm sorry.
Well, Tommy's going to be there. I think so we can follow my picture. I know. I did. Tori, feeling better?
That is Laura's daughter, Laura. And there's Laura's other daughter. And we didn't have to. Where's Jeffrey? We lost Jeffrey. We lost Jeffrey.
Welcome, everybody. Let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to be doing tonight. And also, I want to thank you very much for coming. So, well, first I'll do a little welcome to everybody with a reading. Then we'll have a moment of silence. I hope the video will continue. Then we have 5 people who will be speaking with some prepared remarks. Laura Greenway, she's sitting over here. No, okay, she's chickening out. John Broussard, Victoria Greenway, Mary Pritchard. She'll get here.
She was in the foyer. In and out, yeah.
And Consuela and Woodrow Parker. Okay, after that, we'll open the floor for people to come up and make remarks as they feel, as they see fit. I want to bring to your attention that there's a memory table in the back if you have items or photos that you would like to leave here for other people to look at. I think we'll gather those up at the end and take them over to the Unitarian Church for a little further celebration with the family. There's a memory book back there. Also, please write something in the memory book. And then we'll have closing remarks, and I'll leave us with a blessing, a benediction. So let me start with this reading. The name of it is We Gather to Remember. We gather to remember those who could not grow old, and those forced to grow old long before their time. We gather to mourn and grieve with one another all of our losses, the people, the stories, the loved ones, and the futures that could have been. We also gather to do the hard work of facing the difficult realities of our present and our past, where there is conflict, violence, war, and hatred. We gather to hold space for silence as we try to make meaning of our history to help us work for peace and justice today and onward. We gather to rekindle our source of hope for our future by recognizing in one another our shared humanity. As we join in a concerted commitment for a better tomorrow, we gather because we need community to do all of this holy work. Let's have a moment of silence. Okay, let's have our prepared remarks. Johnny, will you come up first?
Okay.
Nobody likes to come first, I know.
The worst one.
Will you tell us, fill people in on your relationship with Matthew?
Yes.
As much as you can. Okay.
Okay, so Nell and I met Matt and Tommy at Fairmont Input. And I forgot about that until a year or so later when we met him again at the new vault, two-story one on Main Street. And Lafayette small, so we kept bumping into each other for years until Matt joined Vote and invited me to go canvassing with him. That's like one of the best experiences in my life, and I intend to keep doing this here where it counts, because you know how Lafayette is. So there was time to explore and compare interests, especially on poetry nights at that two-story vault. And I joined his
Johnny, can you speak a little bit louder?
and I joined his social media 80s group, 80s music group. He's like, you know, we're canvassing and we have 80s music blasting on the radio as we go from door to door through all these streets. And the pandemic gave everyone time to socialize a bit deeper, but within 5 minutes of talking to Matt, you know you've struck gold. It was fun to photograph him, to enjoy this community with him, and to go out for coffee. We did a 2-camera recording of the library board of control meeting once, but it wasn't his thing. I did a few of those, you can see them on YouTube, whatever. He loved the community in other ways. He usually put the interests of others before his own, so that his own health was lower priority. I had him working with me for a short time in New Orleans too, and that was thrilling, but that kind of worked for few people and dedicated career types. I mean, career types, theater types. So the loss of his writing gigs for the publishing house in Pennsylvania didn't help, and his recent growth as a public figure did our hearts a world of good. He was so fierce. You had to be around him when he sort of lost control and got angry about some of these issues. We have to move forward, we can't go back. And so many things led him to the point where he could become sort of a beacon, right? Recently, poverty, a highly functional brain, pushed back by haters against anything decent in society. And so I just wonder what he would have us do now.
Yes. Thanks, Johnny. Thank you, Johnny. Tori, would you be ready? Okay. This is Victoria Greenway. special relationship with Matthew?
My name is Tori. I've known Matthew since I was 2 years old when he taught at the university with my dad. Though it feels more accurate to say that he's just always been there. He and Tommy were like my uncles who babysat me, made me laugh, and at times probably enabled a bit of my own chaos in the best possible way. Matthew was one of one. He was the kind of person who didn't try to stand out, he just couldn't help it. Whether he was making a joke that was right on the edge of acceptable before leaping right over it, or passionately fighting for what he believed in, he brought an energy into every space that was impossible to ignore. He was magnetic, rebellious, kind, and had this rare gift of making people feel like they were in on the joke, even when the joke was completely ridiculous. Like the time he and I decided we were going to run for president on the platform of launching the Earth into the sun. A bold, if slightly impractical campaign, but very on brand for the both of us. But beneath the humor and wild ideas was someone deeply committed to justice, to love, and to showing up. I remember the morning my little sisters were born. It was Matthew and Tommy who were there when I woke up. They were always there, in the quiet and the chaos, the funny and the hard. And that's how I'll always remember Matthew. Full of life, full of fight, and absolutely unbothered by
You weren't supposed to tell us about that president. He's resisting.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely unbothered by what anyone thought of him. He taught me, without really ever meaning to, that it's okay to take up space as exactly who you are. That being bold and being loving don't cancel each other out. That you can be loud. I like to end with a poem that I think captures the peace that I hope he's found and the connection that we still have with him now. It is Well by Henry Scott Holland. Death is nothing at all. It does not count. I have only slipped away to the next room. Nothing has happened. Everything remains exactly as it was. I am I and you are you. The old life that we lived together so fondly is untouched, unchanged. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by the old familiar name. Speak of me in the easy way which you always used. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household word that it already was. Let it be spoken without an effort, without the ghost of a shadow upon it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolute and unbroken continuity. What is this death but a negligible accident? Why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am but waiting for you, for an interval, somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well. He would have hated for us to be too sad today, or worse, boring. So I'm gonna try to carry forward his spirit by being a little louder, a little braver, and a little weirder. And maybe I'll still think about that presidential campaign.
Thank you very much, Tori. Do we have Mary Pritchard here now, or there she is? Okay.
Hi, I met Matthew in 2016 after a certain presidential election. And he and I were both looking for good work to do, and we kept showing up at the parish executive committee meetings. And I had done field organizing in Colorado. I'm from Lafayette, but I had moved back from Colorado, and I had learned a lot of political field organizing back and proposed that we do a precinct organizing project, that everybody in this room could be a precinct captain in your precinct where you live. And you could go meet Democrats in your neighborhood and make sure that we do voter education. And so Matthew and I kept going to those meetings, and Matthew would sit in those meetings, and they were executive committee meetings, so we were just on the edges of the room listening, and he was doing backwards push-ups and moving his feet and walking in and out of the room. And but we convinced the parish executive committee that they should take on this project. And so we did the precinct organizing project, and Matthew was the first to raise his hand and say, I'll go knock on doors. And so even before I was campaign manager for Mimi Methvin, and a lot of the people in this room got involved in campaigns, Matthew and I got a list of all the Democrats in his precinct, and precinct 19, which is almost every person in his precinct. So we started knocking on doors. Matthew was not the social butterfly that he became at the door. He was very skeptical about talking to his neighbors, about talking to anybody and getting any good results. He really just didn't believe it would work. But we knocked on doors, and we met people who were at the door that weren't the person that was supposed to be there, and they didn't vote because they thought they couldn't vote, because they had a felony conviction. Even if they were off paper, they didn't know they could register to vote after they had served all their time. And so that was one of the things. We met a man who, on Matthew and Tommy Street, who was in tears because he said, I hadn't voted in 10 years, and he went in the house to get his wife, and I said, why haven't you voted in 10 years? And he said, well, I'm a felon. I said, well, you have a felony, or when are you off paper? He said, I've been off paper for 10 years. I said, you can vote. And he just started crying. So those kinds of things happened. We also, at one point, were walking in Truman, and they called the police on us because I think Matthew might have been the only white person that lived in Washington Heights. And so they called the police on us because there were two white people wandering around in Truman. So that made him really nervous. I think he might have needed a cigarette after that. But we knocked at every Democrat's door, and ever since then, Matthew always showed up to knock doors. He believed it worked. He really wanted to talk to people. And I think probably part of the reason that he ended up at Vote is because we found those people at the door. We found those tough guys who wanted to, to show us how tough they were. Oh, we don't vote, we're felons. It's like, no, you can vote. If you're off paper, you can vote. Let's call Consuela. She'll help us out. So he was sold on the idea. From then on, I could count on Matthew to show up. He was present for door knocking, postcard writing, and phone banking, which he had little patience for. He became an accomplished grassroots organizer, and he began volunteering for Vote whenever he could. He led canvassing efforts for Mimi Methvin's campaign. He was a leader of the canvassing efforts in that program. There, I know I sent pictures. There are pictures of him writing postcards at Winnie's house, writing postcards for the ballot initiatives that were up in March. He really and truly, he brought people into trendy spaces, into this exact space to write postcards, and those ballot initiatives failed. And I think in large part to the effort of Vote and of Matthew Isaak. Matthew and two other organizers took on the task of organizing an action every 2 weeks through Project 50501. These rallies have grown and gotten national media attention. And I went to the UU Church in Lawrence, Kansas last Sunday. And just out of the minister said, we have in Topeka, there's another protest, there's another rally in Topeka on the 2nd. And there's a protest or the rally in Lafayette. And she said, I know that sometimes we get tired of being the leader, being the person who's always out front. She said, but like a flock of geese, sometimes the leader has to drop off and maybe go to ground. And so I couldn't get up out of church. So I really encourage all of you to think about what we're doing and this time that we're living in, and how passionately Matthew fought for everybody's rights as a person from Canada for this country. And so we've got to remember that, and please show up and join with people that you would never imagine joining with, because Matthew Isaak never expected to be a political organizer, and he did wonders with a small group of people. So I thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Okay, next is Consuela and Woodrow.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Consuela Gaines. I'm a chapter organizer right here in Lafayette, Louisiana. I guess you could say I'm the one that started this chapter. Because when I came home from incarceration after 22 years, I came home to Lafayette and I met someone that introduced me to vote, and by March of 2017, we were starting our meetings, and that's when I first met Matthew Isaak, because we were having our meetings right there at the Clifton Chenier Center. So I've known Matthew a while, and I gotta share this story with y'all, because if it wasn't for Matt, this organization probably would not be in Lafayette anymore. We had planned an event in the ZIP, in Azalea Park. It was called Party in the Park. And we had everything that we could think of that would bring people out, that we could share information about voting and getting registered to vote. We had free food, entertainment, a DJ, dancers, you name it, we had it. We had it going on. We went into that community and we canvassed the community, and a lot of folks were like, oh yeah, this is nice, we're gonna be there, we're gonna go, we're gonna be there. And the day of the event, just a handful of people showed up. And most of those people weren't even from that area. And I was sadly disappointed. I was furious, y'all. And so I was mad for days. And one day Matthew called me, and I was at the point, I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I can't do this anymore. Folks just are okay with living the way they're living. And so why should I continue to do this when people don't care? And Matthew, y'all know how Matthew is. He was like, oh, come on now, Consuelo. Now, come on. You know that, you know, you're not going to get it your way all the time. You did what you could. You know, sometimes people come out, sometimes they don't. But you can't give up. What you're doing is a worthy cause, and eventually they'll get it. And I'm going to help you. So you can't quit. I command that you do not quit. He said, because what you are doing is great, and people need to hear it, and they need to know it. You just got to force feed it and give it to them whether they want it or not, but you cannot quit. And we talked for a while, and he cheered me up, and he talked me into my senses of not quitting and leaving the vote and dissolving this chapter in Lafayette. And we've had some good times, we had some bad times, but when I tell you this man, hey, he taught me a lot about organizing, because I didn't come from an organizing background. Like I said, I was incarcerated for 22 years, so becoming an organizer was new for me. And Matthew taught me a lot about what organizing is, how we bring people together, and the information, how we disseminate that information. And like I said, the door knocking was his favorite. He loved to get out in the community and canvass, especially when it was some really, really good issues that people needed to know about. He was serious about this work. He always was like, come on, y'all. You know, he was our canvas leader. For our last time we got out there for the ballot initiatives, and he was gung-ho. He was not about sitting around and talking. He was like, give me my turf. We gotta go, him and Johnny. So, you know, this man was so full of life, and I learned so much from Matthew. And when I tell you we miss him, this man never complained.
No.
Never complained. And I was like, just really amazed of his strength. Because there was just nothing that would knock him down. He just kept going like a robot. I'm like, where do you get this energy from? Give something to me. And he, like most of y'all know, was incredible and amazing. We're truly gonna miss him. And today I also have with me Mr. Woodrow Parker, who would like to do, y'all, just to show you how this man touched lives. The United States Congressman Troy A. Carter Sr. proudly presented a Louisiana 2nd Congressional District to the bereaved family of Matthew Isaac, to the family of Matthew Isaac. It is with deep sorrow and a heavy heart that I extend my sincere condolences to you and your family as you endure the loss of your partner, son, and brother. His legacy is evident in the impacts he's made in the world of academia, the lives he's changed through mentorship, and his dedication to rights advocacy. Mr. Isaac's role in organizations such as Voice of the Experienced, Invisible Acadiana, and Good Trouble 337 proved an immeasurable support to their mission. His unwavering vision and creative nature will forever be remembered with reverence and gratitude. He stood as a pillar of strength, ethics, and wisdom, not only for his family, but for those countless individuals whose lives he touched. Mr. Isaac's commitment to his students, community, and beyond serves as a beacon of hope, inspiring the coming generations to invest in their own vision and strive for greater humanity. Through words, though words may not ease the pain you feel at this time, I hope you find comfort in knowing that his spirit lives on in the enduring legacy of service, dignity, and love he instilled in each of you. Mr. Isaac's impact on the world continues in you and those whose lives he uplifted. May God bless you and keep you in his grace during this time. If there is anything I can do for you, please do not hesitate to ask. Know that I am here for you. With heartfelt sympathy, Troy A. Carter Sr., Member of Congress.
To the bereavement family of Matthew, Tommy, vote LGBTQ community, to the voiceless community, to the working women of Lafayette. I can only say that I've known Matthew for 2 weeks, but when I met Matthew, I only thought about one word, and one word only. And inspiration, dedication, heartless. Those words came into life. And he gave so much of himself. I don't think there's anybody in this room that can walk that walk, talk that talk, just like he did. But what I want to leave to you today is to UL, start a scholarship in his name.
only say my short time in knowing him was I could not have met the most powerful person that touched the Democratic Party in the way that he did. So, from Troy A. Carter, office of the U.S. Congress, House of Representatives, I thank you for your time and your devotion and dedication tonight. Thank you.
And we would also like to share our love and the fact that we are going to miss Matthew tremendously. We felt it from day one. We would like to present to the family these flowers. Thank you.
Okay. What we'll do momentarily is we'll move on to some open the floor for short remarks. What I think we'll do is maybe have only one or two people, if you want to stand in a line, not a lot of people at once, because then other people won't be able to hear. So either one person come on up, or one or two stand in a line, but we can't have everybody stand up in a long line, or the voices won't carry. I would like to take advantage of the short remarks, since I'm already up here. I spoke with Matthew's mom this morning, and she said that there are not words to explain the ache in her heart, and that she knew that Matthew was happy here, and that while she didn't always understand the degree to which he spent his life taking up for the values that he believed and for people who needed a voice, she always appreciated the goodness of it. And she is missing him terribly. And then my relationship with Matthew was, I always was drawn to the sort of rolling our eyes at the other speakers that were speaking in meetings and finding excuses to get up and leave the room or talk about everybody from the back of the room. Because my family's got a little bit of that sarcasm and making fun of what's going on around us. And then some years ago when my younger brother died, Matthew and I decided that we had enough DNA in common that he was going to become my younger brother. And we rode bikes together when I could still ride a bike, and then we walked places together because neither one of us had a car. And my job was to treat him like a little brother and give him hugs he didn't want, kisses he didn't want, and tell him I love you and make him say it back as much as he didn't want to. Okay, so let's get, would anyone like to come up and okay, Marcus wants to come first, and Amae's gonna wait over there.
Okay, hi everyone. So my name is Marcus Simmons, aka Chachi, and I'm a chapter organizer here with SWAY. And I would just like to tell you guys that, okay, now SWAY and I, especially me, I've lived in very, very, very strong environments on top Sometimes I felt underneath the earth, and I've been a fighter and a warrior all my life. And there is no one on this planet that ever checked me every time I was in his presence like Matt. I don't understand how he got away with that. You know what I'm saying? But he found a way to do it, and I just consider myself checked every time I was around him. But I will also say this. Because I've been in all of these places, I've been around a lot of might. I've been around a lot of warriors. Talking about real warriors. But you know, the night I went home after, because he never really said in that he, you know, what happened. But the night that I got home and I really laid in bed, and it really set in, and I really considered in totality everything I knew of Matt since the moment I met him. And I can honestly tell you that that little statue of a man, besides my mama, was the strongest person I ever met in my life. I have never met someone who was willing to die. Now, for not because someone was doing him something, just died because someone was doing something to somebody. And that is powerful. And to me, you know, I didn't realize how much I admired him until that night. Right? So look, Tommy, man, you had the pleasure of knowing a real, like none of the rest of us have, a real soldier, man. So really take that and hold on to that, man. And everyone, thank you for coming out. Because you know we all know he deserved it, and I'm a miss him. I love him, and just thank you guys for coming out and showing love to his family. Right.
Okay, I'm a real introvert, so it's going to be hard to speak. So my name is May Dominique. Deep breath.
Oh, Jesus.
Stop. So what I wanted to say is, I, like several others, got to meet Matthew during Mimi Methvin's campaign. Also when I met Mary Pritchard, and Matthew's he's a character, like we have all said, and so selfless, and such an inspiration to just put yourself out there and make a difference. And so over the last, I guess since March, our paths crossed again, I think thanks to Mary Pritchard, who put us together and said, hey, you two start, you know, create this group and start organizing the protest. And so we did. And so he's been beside me for the past couple months. And I know he'd be mad at me if I didn't say, y'all gotta come out to the rally tomorrow. So yes, it's from 10 to 12, the corner of Lee and Jefferson, Prejean Point, as we call it. Maybe someday it'll become official to have that name. But I had to come and say, you know, Matthew tapped me on the shoulder and said, get up there, May. Remind them about the rally. Come, bring a friend, bring 3 friends. You know, maybe, I have no idea how many people are gonna come. Could be 50, could be 300. Matthew's philosophy was, it doesn't matter how many of us are there, it matters how many people see our signs, hear our voices, and know that we care, and we're not going anywhere, and I think rallies or sign holdings probably gonna happen about every couple of weeks. Weather permitting, we wanna go all over town, north side, Opelousas, New Iberia again, maybe some other little towns, just to help make a difference and help educate the people here, help create people to be inspired to want to go register to vote if they're not registered. And for us to say, the only way we're gonna make a difference is for us to stand up and say, no, this is not okay. And we don't want our democracy to be destroyed. So it's great to see y'all, and, you know, I believe we go to the light, we go to spirit, and I think Matthew can hear us and see us, and is happy to see everybody. So thank y'all, and I'll see y'all tomorrow morning.
Hey everyone, I'm Christy Green. I wanted to say something about Matthew and Indivisible Acadiana, because that's how many of us in the room knew him. And actually, as I was remarking to some of you, when I look up here at these photos of Matt, the first thing I thought about when I heard he had passed was my phone, because I have so many pictures of him on my phone. And as I edited them to post them to Facebook, I realized he always looks so good. Why does he always look so good? I had to edit myself out of these pictures to focus in on him. He was an extremely photogenic individual. And then at one of our early protests recently, I think it was the April one, we were talking to one of the reporters, I think it was Elena Maskey of The Current, and she asked how old we were. You know, they always ask that for the newspapers. And so he was only 4 months older than I was. So we told Elena how old we were, and she said, "You all don't look that old." And it reminded Matt of a time when we were talking about how we were both often seen as younger than we were. Maybe it was our maturity, but you know, that we looked younger than we were. And I guess I said, and Matthew remembered, well, we're well preserved. So he enjoyed being well preserved too. But as I unloaded the pictures from Indivisible, it was just apparent to me how much a figure he's been in the entire progressive movement since the election of that certain person. And I have a lot of pictures, we have papers. Someday there's going to be a documentary or a dissertation that someone writes about activism in Lafayette and Acadiana, and he will be a large part of it. I had pictures of him on, I think the first one was a downtown litter cleanup, and we were kind of actually grousing about it, and I'm like, why are we doing this? People didn't litter, we wouldn't have to do this, you know, we actually enabling them, we would all philosophical, political discussions about what exactly are we doing here. But most of the pictures were of Matt in the passenger seat of my car. I was like the chauffeur to Matt. But from Indivisible steering group meetings to meeting almost twice a week for a couple of months at the end of the Mimi Methvin campaign with coffee, and often I would pick up coffee for Matthew. So we have all of these pictures of us, sometimes with people in the back seat. There's one with Peggy Sinache in the back seat. So that explains the car shots for you. But in terms of where to go from here, definitely come to the rally tomorrow. And Matt did always talk about taking the movement wider. We did have two things. There's a picture up there of our Indivisible on the road to Opelousas. We went to New Iberia, we went back to New Iberia, and made Rachel Maddow, which he was extremely proud of. It was one of the last things that I talked about with him. He was thrilled with that. But he had this idea that we should really go to places like Crowley or Rain and bring a few signs and, you know, stand outside a coffee shop and just see who comes and talks to us. Because the Southwest Louisiana is a big congressional district. I have to say, you know, Matthew may have groused about some people, but the only person he and I groused about was Clay Higgins. Thrilled to see that letter from Congressman Carter, and I hope we get a picture of it to put on Facebook so we can all enjoy it. But that is just an amazing tribute. And finally, I just want to thank Tommy for sharing it with us. I brought Matt home, and there was Tommy waiting at the door as Matt went in for the evening. So thank you.
Thank you for coming, everybody. I'm gonna try
his strength. You know, he don't like all that. You know, all them tears. Come on, you just pull on his strength. He's right here. Pull on his strength because he's keeping me strong right about now. Yes.
Matthew and I, in March, I contacted everybody. I met Matthew in 2016 with Unedited on the road. I was living in Appaloosa at the time. And before I forget, I need to tell you, please everybody, go, be on the ground, have your boots on the ground. Smaller community, they need you. So I contacted everyone and I said, we have a president right now, he's raising hell, we need to raise hell. And Matthew said, I'm here. He didn't hesitate. He was the only one who stood up with me and I know Indivisible were on the ground with a small group and I said, we need more people. So we need to create trouble. I bought him a t-shirt, Good Trouble. And he created Good Trouble 337 with Aimee and Anne and Diane. Easy, and she's an excellent speaker. Thank you. So I want everyone to know that you need to support Good Trouble, you need to support vote and being a volunteer. And we did other things also together with Consuela. I've known Matthew since 2016. I've been part of Equality in Louisiana, bring also LGBT QA in Lafayette back in, I think it was in 15. Matthew Rizzi also came to some of the protests that are organized in Appaloosa. I don't live in Appaloosa anymore, but we need to bring Good Trouble in Appaloosa. There is 80% of the community, almost 80% who is black. They are scared. I know a lot of people, they're scared to come to our protest. So I think we need to create small Good Trouble in little community. It's important. Matthew kept saying, we don't always agree, we had some way because he had his own mind and I had mine. I was always looking for a bigger picture. I was saying, well, we do one protest, second protest, 10 protests, what good it's gonna do? We need people to vote, so there is vote of their experience. We need to create something bigger, and maybe with Good Trouble is your opportunity to speak to other people and try to raise their voice. Like Mary Preachers was saying, some people think they don't have a voice, and it's important. So thank you. Didn't prepare any. I was in WCP also in San Andre, and Matthew was in WCP. I'm still volunteering, and it's important, and WCP is important, but it doesn't seem that the voice is strong enough. I don't feel it is, and sometimes I'm getting so frustrated because that new government is trying to just shut down the voice of the people. So you have a voice. Matthew always told me when we disagree, don't forget, we are the voice of the people. That's the most important. So you have a voice.
Anybody? Okay.
Good evening. I'm from Sullivan, and I've known Matt maybe about a year when I started volunteering to vote. When I first met him, I was scared of Matt. Who's this white man? And what is he doing? And he But as I got to know him, I actually enjoyed being around him. He was a force to be reckoned with, because he was very strong on his beliefs. And he let you know, this is what it's gonna be. And we just had to fall in line and follow his lead. I'm gonna miss him. I remember I went to a meeting over there at the KOK, I think the Lafayette Citizens Group, and I got to meet his partner. And we sat down and we talked about how he grew up and how things were, and it was so wonderful sitting there talking to both of y'all. I really enjoyed the conversation. It brought me back to when I was small and how I grew up, and it was so similar, the way we grew up and stuff. And Matt, I admired him. When I heard that he passed, it's like, I was upset. It's like, okay, I just seen him on the news. No, that can't be, you know. But he was something else. He inspired all of us to do our best and to fight for what is right. I'm gonna miss him.
Hi, I'm Sally Donlin, and I've known Matt for a good while, but actually what I want to talk about is a little different from his organizing work. I was in the audience when Matt did his job talk when he first came to work at UL in the psychology department. And everything that you know about Matt, he displayed in that job talk. And it was just one of the most interesting job talks I've ever seen in my entire life, and I'd seen quite a few. It was very interesting. And the thing about Matt, so I've known him for quite a while, and I've known him in another setting. And the thing I want to say about Matt is that I've known a lot of people in my life in a lot of different settings, and I think that Matt was one of the most authentic people that I've ever met, anywhere, and in any setting, all right? And he also has he's childlike in the best sense of the word, in that there's absolutely no guile in the way he approaches the world and in the way he approaches the people he loves, okay? When you work in a college, I was the assistant dean in the College of Liberal Arts at the university for 12 years. And when you work in a college setting like that, you come to know some of the professors very intimately, right? And Matthew, quite frankly, had some of his own problems at the university while he was there. Yes, and I had my own. While I was there, I was trying to work my way through, while working full-time, working my way through a PhD in cognitive science. And through the course of and I don't know how I got there, because I had never through the course of an undergrad and a master's, I had never taken a class in psychology. So through the course of just discussions throughout seeing him in the college, in the dean's office, he became aware of that. And he offered, I needed to take psychology, I needed to have an upper level psychology, but you know, guys, think about it. I mean, you're like in the dean's office and you've got to get somebody in your own college to teach you. And that's kind of an iffy kind of thing to do. Not a lot of people want to do that, right? But that was the only class I needed that was within my college. But Matthew became aware of that, and so he came to me and offered that I could join one of his classes, and then he would structure it so that, like it was an honors class, right? So I could do like a contract with him, and then get the graduate level credit I needed, right? And no one else offered to help me with that but Matthew, and I can't imagine anyone else offering to do that for me, right? And then since then, as part of our friendship, I'm similar to Matthew in at least one way,
I don't know when to shut my mouth. Right? Sometimes I know I should shut my mouth, but you know, it's not the desire to say something overpowers that knowledge, right? So cognitive science did not help a great deal with that. So I would say things. And Matthew was always there to defend me, right? If I would have, that's right. He's there for you. And so what sprang up from that was a little thing we had that, you know, I was going to be his prom date, right? So don't be knocking on my prom date kind of thing. So I'm just here to say that I think when I first met Matthew, it was not through any sort of organizing or political sort of activity. It was through his academics, right, which is a whole different ballgame. But through everything that I've experienced with him, it's that authenticity that comes through, and that purity of humanity, which is what the College of Liberal Arts specialized in, right? That humanity that comes through when you think of Matthew, right? If you want to see humanity in action, and authenticity in action, and strength in a small person, think of Matthew. Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else? Comments? Okay, Laura, can't help it.
Looking at me.
I know,
I feel like, I don't know if y'all grew up in the church, but like if you're
testifying, come on.
You know how, when I was growing up in the church, when you accept Christ, you have to like go up to the front. And I remember like standing there holding on, like, you know, but I felt the Spirit leading me. That's how I felt today. I felt like
That was Matthew.
The Spirit is leading me.
It was the Lord. It was Matt.
Well, and Matthew went to church with me. I don't know if y'all know that about Matthew, but I would pick him up and he would go to church with me on Sundays, and we would leave and talk about how we could fit that sermon into like our belief system, you know. It got harder and harder. Honestly, Baptist church, by the way. But I think I saw a whole different side to Matthew, and I saw him probably at the lowest points in his life. And I think just looking here that what he made for himself in his last days, I think he was happy. I think he felt good about what he was doing. And you all are all responsible for that, because you built him up, and he built you up, and he just had a way about him. And for me, he was just always there. Like even through a nasty divorce, even through the death of a spouse, he just kept being there, and he was just always there, and there for my kids. And he and Tommy are family to us. And I'll make sure that you're all right, buddy. I'll make sure you're all right. And thank you all, because I know he was happy. I know he was happy and proud when he passed.
I was not very close with Matt, and I thought, I'm confident that I thought much more highly of Matt than he thought of me. And I just want to say that Matt, through my knowing him, in my own journey through trying to do the things that he did in life, to fight for the things that are right, where I placed my foot right instead of wrong, I owe to him. And I could look at him and see if I was doing it wrong, maybe see how I was doing it right. And for that, I'll always be grateful. Thank you.
Thank
Introduce yourself, Jeff.
I'm Jeff Berger. I'm Tommy's baby brother. other than Tommy, I know Matthew for like 35 years. That's when he became part of our family. And he always been there for us, always been there for my brothers. Me and Matt, you different. But I can say this, he always supported us, all my family. My sister passed away, everybody, Matthew was always there. He was always there for me and my kids. And I just thank all y'all for loving Matt and loving my brother and watching out for him. Laura, like, you're like a sister to me too. And I appreciate all y'all did for my brother and Matt. And just keep all of us in prayer.
Anybody else? Going once. Going twice. Okay, then you get the benediction. I want to thank everybody for coming out. I know we'll have opportunities to share our thoughts tomorrow at the protest. And bring your signs. We have some extra signs available for anybody. I'll bring a bag of them. So, for those who came before us, we offer gratitude and thanks. May their memories be a blessing. May we feel surrounded by their love. As we go forth from this time and place, let us be inspired by Matthew's courage, his wisdom, and his dreams. Let us honor him by doing the work of living boldly, loving mightily, and creating heaven on earth. Amen, and blessed be. Amen.
Everyone for coming. Let's not forget tomorrow for the protest, Good Trouble, and we'll do it in the name of Matthew. Let's get out there.